Hey, this is Ryan Callaghan and Brad Brooks. We're streaming to you live, actually simulcasted live here on First Lite and at our Facebook page. This is another edition of folks who stop by the First Lite office. If you've been plugged in for a while, we've done a few of these in the past. We hope to make this much more consistent. We want to get more into the stuff that we're doing anyway, the how-tos, how we test gear, kind of how we came to certain products and telling more of those stories, but also just kind of more how we operate and our thinking behind early season, mid-season, late season, and it'll be really fun. The cool part is everybody watching this also gets to be involved. You get to ask questions, shoot us messages at any of our social channels, including info@firstlite.com. Tell us what you want to see, give us your questions, and we'll hopefully be able to dig deeper into this. Now, our very first guest, or cool person that stopped by the First Lite office, very first one ever.
Ever.
And
it was almost a year ago exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I don't know.
This is the anniversary.
No, the
or
timeline
close to it.
It's hard to know what day it is sometimes.
Right.
Yes. But Brad Brooks of Argali, and I think this was your idea, right? Like,
I'll take credit for it. Like
Okay.
all the credit. Yeah.
Yes.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. So what we're focusing on today is really what goes in your pack, what we have on our early season September archery elk. And we'll get into, well, if it's a rifle hunt or if it's more mule deer focused, same time of year, but think first hunt of the year. And, obviously we're based in the Rockies, so this is kind of Western centric, first hunt of the year. We're going to jump into, and Brad, definitely hop in here, but let's start with sleeping kit first.
Yep.
So, what do you do for your kind of sleeping arrangement?
All right. So I'll just go over. You just want me to start with the gear and kind of. I'll go ground up. Okay. So like ground up for my moisture barrier. Just a chunk of Tyvek. I cut off. My buddy runs a construction company. I cut this off a string of Tyvek for him that keeps the moisture off my bag. And then I've got the Neo X Lite, so just sub 1 pound, but kind of roomy. My back isn't what it used to be these days, so I like a little comfy pad, luxury. And then for my sleeping bag situation, I just run a quilt. So this is actually a 10-degree quilt. So I use this from early season. I just drape it over me barely. And then if it gets cold, it's kind of nice to have. And then late, this thing works all season. Tent. Do tent.
Yeah.
Or this is just a tarp. This is a Seek Outside DST tarp. It's 10 by 10 flat cut tarp. So, and I pitch it with my trekking poles, so I don't have to carry in anything but the tarp. And I don't even have to carry any stakes because you can tie. I have 2mm paracord. This stuff right here, tie it up on all the corners. And I can just strap that to some logs or rocks and then just keep it taut that way. Works pretty well.
Yeah.
So what do you got? What are you rolling with?
Really similar. Tyvek as well. Typically beginning of season for me, I don't need shelter of any kind. So I just go with Tyvek.
Whoa. No shelter.
Zero.
Even if you look at the forecast and it's like rain in the forecast.
If it's like one of the sissy forecasts of like 20%, 30%, no shelter, and then I can sleep underneath my Tyvek.
Okay. Has that ever backfired on you? I've got to ask.
Oh, yeah. I constantly rethink my sanity on all this stuff.
Okay.
But if I know it's going to rain, I'll just go with the tarp. My areas, I'm not dealing with like crazy bug situation. Most of the time it's just I wonder why I'm taking the time to like set up a shelter
Totally.
when I don't need one. Sleeping bag. This is a Kafaru synthetic bag. It's a 20, I think it's like a 20-degree bag. But just like your quilt, this is basically like draped over me early season. And then I have this Xped down mat that is probably nearing, this is like the very first year they came out. Super old, really bomb-proof, but just like you, it's got a lot more loft to it. Definitely heavier than what I need, but I do kind of figure that it's nice to have that extra insulation if I do make a really bad mistake and weather front comes in out of nowhere. I just wasn't paying attention. Yeah, most of the time, no shelter, tie a back, bag, pad.
It's pretty simple.
Done deal.
I also use I will take, if it's looking like we're getting like afternoon thunderstorm still, I won't take a rain jacket and I'll just take a tarp. And that way if do you get a deluge, I can just like throw this, pull it out of the bag, throw it over me and my pack and like wait it out if it's really pouring hard. But I like it, man. I like having just in case.
No, I can tell by your pile you are a comfort-oriented individual. Hopefully you're coming up with questions right now too. We're going to get into the Q&A part, which is always the most fun. So hopefully we'll get through this pretty quick. But if you come up with good questions, we will be entering you into the chance to win an Argali gift certificate and a First Lite gift certificate. So, be thinking. Certainly makes it more fun. So that's kind of the sleep system. Do you want to do, let's do water and cooking.
Yep. There's a question about water that we can talk about now too. Cooking, so MSR stove system also has my cup. Carry just a small 4-ounce canister of fuel. This canister with this stove, just for making coffee, breakfast, and dinner, I know that'll last me, 5 days pretty casually in the mountains. So that's, and then water, I carry a platy bladder, 3-liter bladder. I do not always fill this thing up, but it's nice to have the option if I know I'm going to be a long ways between water. I also do, I know there's people that do this, but I really like this. So I got a quick disconnect on my tube here. So this my bladder never leaves my pack. And that way I can fill up, I can fit my water bladder. I have a male end and I can put it in the female end and filter directly through my hose into my bladder. So it's just super quick and convenient. And then bladder-wise, or filter-wise, just a Platypus Gravity Works filter. It's like 3 ounces, super light. That's pretty much it.
No water bottle whatsoever.
No. Nope.
And you never have any explosions or leaks with your bladder in your back.
Yep, that's happened.
How does that make you feel when that happens?
It makes me feel angry inside when that happens, but actually never inside my pack, only outside my pack. But I do carry a little bit of tape around my lighter, which I have the wrong lighter here, a little bit of Gorilla tape, so usually I can plug the dike if I need to. Late season, I do carry only water
like
gloves.
This lighter.
Exactly, but without the Broncos logo on it.
Well, I bypass the Bic lighters that look like everybody else's Bic lighters, right? Oh. I get like the Flamingo or...
I like that.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that way you can be like, actually, Brad, that is my lighter. Yeah.
You could just put your name on them too. That's also an option. I don't know if you know how to do that.
No, it's not as much.
You take a pen.
No, I honestly have never thought of that.
And then the other thing I can do is I will store if I need extra water, I can store dirty water in my dirty water bag and just seal it up and then just keep it in the outside of my pack too. So if I'm, that's pretty much it though for water filtration and water storage.
So on the water topic, Aquamira.
Interesting.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
So that's water filtration. or no filter, but anti-funk. And then, depending on the situation, I'll have 1 or 2 of like an Nalgene bottle. If it's like a really dry place, I'll pack this completely full, this completely full, and I will have either a big extra water bladder that will never get filled up unless I know I'm going to be in one spot for a really long time, which we're talking. Really, this is like first time of the year, which a lot of times is bailing out of work as early as you can on Friday, planning on being home Sunday. If stuff goes sideways, you're going to be home Monday morning. I also have a small platypus pouch like yours, which is basically just a flat 1 liter that doesn't take up a whole lot of room.
You ever, so one thing I don't like about bottles when I'm trying to be sneaky is the sloshing around. Mm-hmm. Ever concern?
Nope.
Just nope.
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 No. You can let anything drive you crazy.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
And then I don't bring any stoves early in the season. Again, like this is all subjective, right? If the forecast is like it's going to be driving snow, it's going to be super cold, which very, very rarely it is. Here's that other platypus bottle or water container. And I do no cooking. So I eliminate the stove and the fuel canister because you're always packing around way more fuel than you need. So to me, it just teeters over to excess. And a lot of times, like ideally where I go to bed is where the elk are, or I'm close enough to hear them doing their thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm just rolling out, packing my stuff as fast as I can and sticking with them as they're moving in the morning. The last thing I do before I go to bed is I'll fill my water cup up, put coffee in there, put the lid on. This is sitting right next to my head, and it's good enough cold brew coffee when you wake up.
Interesting.
Yep.
I like the coffee. Let's talk. Can we talk food?
Yes, we can talk food.
A hot cup of coffee in the morning and like a hot meal at the end of the day is like a very nice thing for like I can do the cold dinner and the cold meals, but especially if it's been like rough weather or something, there's something that just helps with the motivation. Having like a hot meal really helps.
Yeah,
for some people.
No, it's true. Everybody. But then I'm like, well, I'll just go to sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I do know. Yep. I know you make. You want to talk about your freeze?
Yeah, let's do that. So I do my own food. In fact, my own dehydrated meals. So I'll just talk about this real quick. So if we're doing a Friday, if I'm doing a Friday through a Sunday night, or even like, say I might come out early Monday morning if I get something down, I need to come out, spend the night on the mountain. I'll basically take a dinner for Saturday night. I'll probably carry in like some snacks in my pocket for Friday night to eat for dinner. And then during the day, I keep all my food in bags so I know kind of what's what and what I should be eating each day. It's easier to pack that way. So breakfast, I've just got some oats, dehydrated peanut butter, and a little bit of dehydrated butter in there. So pretty simple, just add water. Lunch is just a handful of bars. So I've got some like Pro bars in here and some other bars. And then dinner is Zatarans, black beans and rice, dehydrated. And then I've got powdered butter and powdered kale in here. And it's pretty amazing, actually. And ground up elk, dehydrated ground up elk. So that's a lot of calories, and I intentionally do that. And I also add some salt in there to make sure you're getting enough sodium replenishment too, which is also very important.
Also very important.
What I got.
Okay, so breakfast would be, and this is only 3 days. I've found that particularly early in the season, I just don't need that much food. So I'll have tinned fish for like the main kind of protein fat source during the day or at night. Smoked oysters, sardines. I just found these mussels the other day that I'm all pumped about. And these big, heavy, like meal-to-go things. It says a third of one day's calories is in this deal. And if you go by that, I'm not bringing that much food for 3 days. I also pilfer a lot of almonds off of all my plane flights. And I'll squirt a bunch of, any sort of nut butters on the first bar of the day.
Those are good.
And I really don't need to eat until late in the day, typically. Packaroons have a ton of fat in them, and I've found that those are, if you can trust it, you don't have to bring as much food. Another fun trick with the tinned meats, find a grocery store or a takeout place where you can get a bunch of chopsticks. Bring chopsticks. And then on the salt thing,
yep,
I can be a really lousy water drinker
mm-hmm.
until it's far too late.
Yep.
Pedialyte.
Yep, that's a good one.
Pedialyte's got a lot of salt. Pedialyte is a real good little backcountry trick. So I really don't have anything like proper meal-wise, I would say.
Yeah.
But early in the season, it's super hot.
Yep.
I'm not like looking for a big meal, even if I'm sitting on my butt in town. And by the time I have the stove, and I hate dealing with the trash associated with freeze-dried food.
Totally.
And so early in the season, I can skip it, and that's when the ants and stuff are out anyway.
Yeah, I know it doesn't look like it, but like I eat
a need for the finer things.
Well, the finer things in life, yes, but also just like I need a lot of calories. Like I am constantly hungry, and I can get by with a little amount of food, but it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold for me. I'm burning calories. And the other thing that I know it's just about me. If I don't have enough energy, my motivation to like go chase that elk goes way down. It's like you see something and you're like, oh, I should probably go after that elk, but it's like 4 o'clock and like it might take a while, and it's like I think I'll just go after it in the morning or something, like that.
Okay.
It like plays on me mentally, and I know that enough about myself. It's like you need to eat. And the salt thing. The other thing I don't have here is there's this thing called Lite tablets that I love, just sodium potassium tablets. Pop like 2 of those a day, and that keeps like cramps and other like muscle.
Do you set a time for that?
No, just like randomly when I remember.
Okay.
It's like wake up in the morning, and I usually have like all my little food together, and I'll see them and just like pop one.
Yes.
And it's helpful. It's like the Pedialyte, like similar idea, but that sodium replacement when it's hot out is really important.
Yes.
Because by the time you start cramping, it's like you're far too gone, and you're gonna need to chill for a while.
Yes.
So.
Food topic can be a huge one. We can go all day about that, but I think you can tell I'm not like weigh everything out and analyze calories and daily values and all that stuff. I just have a good idea of what I need, and if I run out, it's a really good motivation to get my butt out of the woods faster, hopefully with a big heavy pack. And if I have a big heavy pack, I'm not really in a pinch for food. Yeah. So now, okay, that was kind of really camp kit stuff, essentially. Let's go to, I guess, what clothing on the way in?
Oh, clothing on the way in is simple. Socks, light wool socks, short sleeve. This is the Arrow wool shirt, and then Obsidian pants. If I can get them without dropping everything here. That's it.
Yes. Very similar. So Triad Sock, which is this is the only sock I use basically all year round. It's one weight, and doesn't matter the temperature outside. Neck gaiter. Obsidian pants, which is the wool pant. In the new Arrow wool stuff, the 150 stuff, this is a quarter zip, and I kind of go back and forth between the quarter zip and the hoodie. The hoodie can do a couple more jobs, I feel. And the Obsidian pants, wool boxers.
There you go.
And that's it as far as like what I'm wearing into the field. And then clothing in reserve, early season. I have Uncompahgre puffy in here, our knit beanie, and depending on the day, I'll have like a mid layer in here, like sawtooth, or maybe like the Uncompahgre vest. So basically, I'm just looking for like end of the day warmth. If you're sitting up and you've been still for a long time, hopefully you've located something and you're chilling out on them. And then that's about as heavy as I'll go for the first 2 weeks.
There's something underneath that bag too. What was that piece of clothing?
Oh, cute, Brad.
What is that?
Those are our women's underwear.
Do you pack those around too?
It's a great face mask. So that's like all the clothing in reserve. And I have plenty of extra insulation if stuff goes sideways with my sleeping bag. That's a big reason that I've started bringing or leaning more towards the synthetic bag, because if I do leave camp, like actually leave camp, I'll hang this up in the tree. If something decides to chew on it, there's not going to be down everywhere. I'm still going to have some insulation left in the bag.
Yep.
Same deal. The forecast looked great when I took off, but when I came back, it's raining. I'll probably have a somewhat more comfortable night in a synthetic bag versus a down bag.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm pretty much the same on, I like the hood, especially if getting in close on animals, especially for mule deer hunting, early season, which I know we're talking about elk, but for mule deer, that hood is like pretty key, because I use that to stalk in on animals.
Yeah.
So put that hood over, keeps the sun off, like it a lot.
Yeah, neck gaiters, like a do not leave home without it piece for me.
Yep, same here.
Same deal. Sun protection. A lot of times if I'm hunting a burn or something, I'll just rub my hands on burned trees as I'm going by and rub my face just to take the shine off. Mm-hmm. But it's a great face mask. And then if we have the inevitable giant full moon, it's a great face mask for sleeping.
Yep.
Particularly if you don't have a tent.
Yes.
Yes.
Boots?
Yeah, boots.
These are Loa Inox. These are kind of for me anyways, breathable Gore-Tex shoe, boot. They're kind of a midway between. They're stiff enough that I can go cross country, off trail, not worry about beating up my feet and my ankles, but light enough that I'm not carrying monster heavy boots around when I don't need to. I only wear these early season though. Anything past, usually mid-September, I'm wearing something a little more substantial, like kind of what you got there. So.
Yeah, I have funky feet. It takes me a while to get boots properly broken in and fit. And so I wear one boot the whole season, and I just keep greasing them up, cleaning them off, greasing them up the whole season. So. Trekking poles, we both have trekking poles.
You've got the, are those distance FLZ, is that what they are?
They're very light trekking poles.
Yeah.
They come in 3 pieces.
So those aren't adjustable, right?
These are not adjustable. It's a fixed height, but you can self-adjust depending on what you're going.
Yeah, I think, so the reason I like, at least for my setup, the reason I bring adjustable is for the tent.
Yeah.
Pitching the tent. Pretty key to have adjustable length poles for different.
And if you have a pole extension, they will not work on these poles.
Yeah.
But they will work on these poles because of the depth of the spike.
Yep.
Or the tip, or whatever you want to call it. You can see this one's got a really shallow one. So that's something to keep in mind. But anymore, like, I'm getting pretty nervous about my knees.
Totally.
So I always like to have 2 trekking poles with me.
Yep, absolutely.
So especially alpine situations, it's full of branches, but there's always a straight tree up there, dead tree, and I just cut that thing and make it my center pole.
Oh yeah, that works too. Yeah.
And then there's all sorts of things to hang your stuff on.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah. So I think, and then like to go further into like the stuff that is on me, I have a bino harness here. Typically my hunting license is in here. For short hunts, I'll have a couple of fancy lens cleaners. For longer hunts, like big 10-day stuff, I don't bring the disposable ones. I just use a lens cloth with some spray, and I'll pack that up with me, because on those hunts I'm typically behind glass a lot longer. And I'm set up in a position longer, and I just don't like creating a ton of trash when I'm out in the woods. Still packing around a rangefinder. I have a Leatherman. So with the Leatherman, I also have a knife for the actual field dressing of the animal, if that happens. And I just make a point to not bring my extra pocket knife, and anytime I need a pocket knife, I'm using the Leatherman or a multi-tool.
So there's a saying that in the backpacking world that people pack their insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Leatherman is like your safety blanket?
Do you call pliers insecure?
I don't know.
Would you look at a pair of pliers in your toolkit and be like, look at that insecure tool?
I'm just like, what do you think what are you using those pliers for? What are you using that Leatherman for?
The pliers.
What are you using your pliers for?
Well, a lot of times it's like when I'm being an absolute moron and I'm trying to put as much stuff on my pack as possible, and I'm unbuckling things and rethreading things, and then I'm not a rock climber like you, and I don't have the pinch strength to grab the little tag ends and yank them back through the buckles.
Yeah.
But if I have a pair of pliers.
I wish you could have heard, I had a whole rant on Leatherman, people that carry Leathermans that we can talk about some other time.
And I know you have a bow that you pack with you that is full of insecurities. That
we can get into that in a
tool
second.
That has multiple uses could probably come in handy with.
It could.
Yeah.
It could. Keep going.
And then calls. I have a pouch full of elk diaphragms. I always have a lighter and chapstick in my pocket, preferably sunblock chapstick. This little thing can be controversial with people. They're like, oh, you're just a sissy, so you need chapstick. This is like the definition of what should go with you. This is one thing that is good for a bunch of different jobs. So it is sunblock, it is anti-chafe cream, and we're not talking just lips. You can start a fire with this stuff. It is well worth having in your pack, and I feel like when I'm ripping on bugles and stuff, chapped lips I make different noises.
Oh, I carry chapstick too. Same reasons. My lips get super chapped and it's annoying, if anything. But fire starter on this thing is a thing most people don't know about, which I like. Always in my pocket too.
Yes. And then, oftentimes my headlamp, I'll only bring one headlamp. Oftentimes that's in my side pocket. And that's it. Maybe a bar that I pulled out of my pack or something in my pocket as well.
All right, I'll go through my stuff quick. The little things that I haven't gone over. Yeah, binos, rangefinder, wind checker, this little pouch. I keep my tripod adapter and a lens cloth. So, because I do most of my glassing on my tripod, which is over here. And it is like one of those things, especially during elk season, if you're calling in elk, I'd say you probably don't need a tripod, and I probably don't need to carry one, but if I'm doing any glassing at distance, I really like to have that tripod. And I'm usually doing some filming, so I'll have a small camera, and the tripod helps for the filming as well. And then long-handled spoon, never leave home without this. If you ever tried to eat out of your stove without one of these, it's really annoying. Get food all over your hands. Bic lighter, cauls, toothbrush. Notice you didn't have a toothbrush.
I have a toothbrush and toothpaste.
Oh, well, look at you.
Right there. Yeah.
We've got teepee.
Do you carry all those tools?
All 3 of them? These
Plus this one in here?
Yeah, so I forgot to take out.
So you're carrying multiple tools. Okay.
So instead of carrying an entire set of Allen wrenches, I carry the only ones that I can actually use in the field to fix something that I can actually fix in the field. So I can adjust my rest and my sight with these and tighten basically anything I can tighten in the field. Anything on my bow that goes wrong that I can't fix with these, there's a word I would use to describe the situation I would be in at that point in time, which I'm not going to say right now because there's probably kids watching.
Have you ever broken a shoelace?
I have broken a shoelace.
And you're like burn the end, and then you're trying to fish it through the eyelets on your boot.
Right.
But your fingers are just too fat and like swollen up for hiking for days.
Yes.
That you can't really get in there.
It's happened. Yeah. Pliers.
Pliers would be good for that.
Pliers might work for that situation. Yeah. I also carry a chunk of 2mm paracord. This weighs almost nothing, but I've used it for everything from tying up the head of an animal on a steep hill if I have to cut up something, tying down the tent, shoelace repair. It's got all sorts of uses. I always tend to use this, so I always keep a little bit of it in my pack. Headlamp. This is a recharger for both my GPS device, Garmin Inreach. Got one of these when I became a dad, and when I hunt alone, I carry this thing. Nice to have. It's kind of a weird place to be in my life where I feel like I need one of these because for years I was the guy who thought these were ridiculous and unnecessary.
I call them heavy alarm clocks.
It's basically what it is.
Yes.
It's a nice.
But they are nice to have. They're smart thing to have.
Yeah.
I just don't use mine very often, other than the alarm clock function.
Right. Well, the reason I got one was because I went on a trip when my wife was like 3 weeks from delivering our daughter, and at the time I didn't realize that was a problem, and it is a problem. You're not supposed to be out of communication that close to delivery date. Handkerchief, I wear this thing all the time on my neck, sun protection. It also helps shade I put it under my hat and it helps shade the sun in the early morning when I'm looking through binos. I love this thing. Never leave home without it. Tie it off on a tree when I want to mark something. Oftentimes if I'm like wondering where I was, like if I'm going across the mountain and if I'm trying to find like either an animal or something, I can tie this to a tree and let it blow in the wind and then I can see where I was.
That's a good one.
Lots of uses there.
I have a butt pad still hanging off a tree in British Columbia.
It'll probably be there when you go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a butt pad too. I didn't bring that out.
I don't bring the butt pad early hunt.
No?
No, because I'm not glassing.
Yeah.
I mean, specifically early hunt for elk.
Elk.
I just need to see an elk, and that's all I need.
True.
So.
Nice luxury to have, but late season when it gets cold and wet out, I think it's super nice to have. Kill kit. Can I talk kill kit? Or you got
let's do
else?
the rest of.
Oh, you got more.
Okay, so I have my water filtration. I got a little bit of tape. I have my P cord, just like Brad. I have another lighter in here. I have this little kit that has a lighter. It has pitchwood, which that's just like really seasoned wood that's impregnated with sap, and this stuff will burn like crazy. So it's a great fire starter. And there's a little bit of cotton balls in there. So that's like in a relatively waterproof, if not completely waterproof package. And I have these in like pre-made in a bunch of different kits, or like in my backcountry skiing bag. There's one in my turkey vest. Yeah. This is like an ultra small, may make you feel better, but probably won't do all that much first aid kit. Basically like cuts, abrasions. I have some anti-inflammatories, and that's about it in there. And a compass.
What are those used for?
The compass? I have a basic understanding of where I am. And if I have a basic understanding of a cardinal direction, chances are I can basically get to a road somewhere.
Yep.
Yes.
I got a med kit too. A little bit of some pills in case the pain gets really bad. I keep a little bit of Gold Bond powder in my kit for early season. If you need it, you need it. And Band-Aid, a little bit of athletic tape. And if I get into serious trouble, I'm mostly going to just be trying to get out of there. So that's about it.
Kill kit?
Kill kit. Go for it.
I have a small lightweight knife that I can resharpen really hard. Then, and this is kind of like a remnant thing. This part isn't. I have painting latex gloves. So they're 3 mil. They're thicker. They're heavier. I call them like my serial killer gloves. And then archery season, I use a single bevel broadhead that's really easy to resharpen. So I'll use one of my actual broadheads for knocking out grouse and stump shooting, practice shooting, and as just kind of if I can't sleep or something, I can sit there and resharpen the thing, or middle of the day, if it's hot, I can sit there and resharpen. And then obviously with this knife, I can resharpen that as well. And then the kind of the layover, the thing that I used to carry with me all the time and actually use, and I have no idea why it's still in here, but it's just a creature of habit thing, is I have an actual scalpel with actual scalpel points. That is a really, really good tool if you're gonna fully cape the face on like a grizzled old bull elk and you want to take the whole cape out and have it look all fancy for working around the tear ducts and stuff like that. So, that is the kill kit. And I also have a much smaller sharpener for when I don't want to pack this thing around, because this is quite heavy. But I have this little tiny dude that weighs nothing, and it can probably screw up a blade just as easily as sharpen a blade, but it works well.
We're going to get to your questions here too. I just, real quick, can I run through my kit real quick? You good? Game bags?
Game bags is something that you and I are going to butt heads on.
I can't wait.
So this is a game bag that is holding my sleeping bag, and this is a game bag that's holding my extra clothing. Mm-hmm. I can put all the burger, the loins, tenderloins in these, and then my big pieces of meat. I don't even bother with game bags at this point.
Just stuff it anywhere.
Well, typically if I'm going as big a chunks of meat as possible.
Yeah, so.
And the exposure to the outside, and then I'm going to let those things age in the refrigerator. So I'm going to have a little bit of meat loss anyway on that rind on the outside.
Yep.
Which is full of dirt. It doesn't look terrible. I'm not like a total pig, right? I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
And so I found like there's a lot of. At one point I had to do like a gut check, and I'm like, oh, I'm carrying around like a pound of just bags that really don't need to be here.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. Real quick, so the big announcement that we were going to make today is for knives. We have our own knife design. There's a prototype knife design. I don't know, is the camera on it right there?
If you keep moving it back and forth, that helps, the focus.
So I don't like Ryan. I don't like carrying a sharpener in the field. I want to be able to carry like one knife and cut up an entire elk. So that was the inspiration. Am we good? Inspiration for this knife. So
it's very QVC right now.
It is very QVC. And if we have payment plan options, no, I'm kidding. So this is an early prototype, but we are going to be coming out with this soon. So be sure to check out our email list for announcements soon on how you can get your hands on one of these. But sub 2-ounce knife, premium quality S35 VN steel. Pretty cool. Pretty excited about that. Been working on that project for a while. Game bags. Early season. I feel like keeping the flies off the meat is fairly important. if you're not getting it all out really quickly. So I like to, in my kill kit, what I do is I like to hang each quarter, especially elk quarters. And so I keep 5 pieces of P cord, 3 mil P cord on me. And then I cut the quarters off, hang each quarter with the hair on. This is a rat's nest, obviously. And then I'll hang each quarter and then skin it, debone it. If I'm gonna debone it, put it in a game bag, hang it, haul out what I can get in one trip. If I need to come back the next day, it's there ready to go, hanging. I don't have to worry about flies or anything. Throw it in the pack and I'm out. So that's where I'm at on game bags. The other big announcement is we're making our own game bag. So you don't like to carry weight? Solve your problem. So these are gonna be super light, super lightweight, super strong. We've got a nylon webbing strap, so you can, these will be reflective tabs, and you can carry it and hang it by the strap over the top.
And see your meat hanging in a tree in the middle of the night.
When you need to,
yes,
right?
You do, absolutely.
So anyways, that's the kill kit. I also carry gloves, pair of gloves just like you do.
What is your superfluous item? This is not superfluous for me because I always like to pretend like I'm getting work done outside. So always testing new gear and talk and figuring things out. So I got a field notebook and a pencil, and I can pretend like I'm some sort of a naturalist out there, and I make little pictures and take notes for myself and try to do a journal till about day 2.5, and then I forget about it. But that's kind of my extra thing.
God, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't feel like I have anything superfluous.
Do you want me to point some things out?
I'd love for you to tell me what you think is superfluous.
Let's answer some questions.
That's a good idea, and then we can.
All right. So yeah, thank you guys very much for sticking with us through that. It's a giant topic, and again, it's like very personal. So I don't know if you saw the Instagram story. I'm like, this is burying your soul, because this opens yourself up to a ton of criticism, and I know lots of folks that would absolutely string me up for not bringing a lot of game bags, just a for instance. And some folks cannot get out of bed in the morning without a hot cup of coffee and a hot meal and a recliner and whatnot. So
addiction's a real thing.
Yes.
Let's see. What about how many pairs of socks for a 5 to 7 day backpack hunt?
1.
Yep, 1. Sometimes I'll bring, if it's really hot out and I'm covering a lot of ground, I'll bring 2. And to prevent blisters, if my socks get really wet, I'll swap them out and just keep switching them back and forth as they get wet, dry. Because that's the thing that'll cause blisters, right? Is when your feet get just like soaking wet and your skin gets wet, then you're gonna start getting blisters. So,
and like, if 5 to 7 days is kind of like that magic number. 5 days, absolutely 1 pair of socks. 7 days, I'm starting to think about 2 pairs of socks for sure.
How many pairs of women's underwear do you take with you for a 5-day hunt?
Well, up until now, none.
But 1.
Now you have a pair in my kit. Yes, thank you.
Oh, this is a good one. This isn't really. Let's say you hit an animal with an arrow or a bullet. Find the blood, track the animal, and can't find it. When do you stop tracking the animal? That's like a whole topic into itself. That's a rabbit hole.
That is a giant topic.
Yeah.
That is off topic for what we're doing. That's an entire podcast. We'll get to it at some point.
Do you bring anything for predators?
I have not made a habit in Idaho of bringing anything in regards to deterrence. So no extra firearm, no spray, and that in this area right here where we're broadcasting from, people have been drug out of their tents and sleeping bags by black bears via their heads. So it's probably pretty silly that I don't bring that stuff. Now, when I'm home in Montana, I absolutely 100% of the time always have bear spray with me. If we're horse packing, I'll have a pistol with me, but it's not typically specific to bear encounters.
Yeah, wolves are like just not. We have lots of wolves. I see wolves or hear wolves every year, at least once, and it's just not. an issue. The only thing I worry about are grizzly bears. So like we're doing a Wyoming elk hunt this year, and you better believe I'll have spray on me and available, like on my chest or on my hip at all times.
Yes.
But wolves aren't an issue for.
Yeah, it does you no good in your pack.
No.
TP or wet wipes or both? I would say both is ideal. You can do a lot with a wet wipe. At the same time, I've probably been noticed in popular hunting areas being bare naked in a stream somewhere too, because that needs to happen on occasion also.
Yeah, I'm definitely TP. Wet wipes are just too heavy, unnecessary. Extra gear. I used to carry a backup headlamp in case it burned out, but in case I lost it. But at some point, I realized that if I just know I have one, I'm gonna not lose it and try not to lose it. And if I lose it, then it's a really good lesson to learn.
Yes.
So I just carry one. And I try not to carry extra stuff. That's unnecessary. And clearly you don't.
Yeah, I do not carry extra things. I try to not have extra things pretty much in general.
That's just a good rule for life in general.
Yes, if I have something extra, I end up giving it away.
Like we said, packing your insecurities. Let's see, what's the next question here?
What weight of socks do you wear during elk season? Our Triad Sock, I would say is a pretty thin sock in the hiking boot, hunting boot world. That's all I carry until like if it's late season, I have like pack boots on, like big cold weather pack boots, and I'll up the sock a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot though, because I believe there has to be some airspace in there, or else you're freezing your foot.
So Nick is asking what the smallest piece of gear we carry that has the biggest impact. I gotta say probably elk diaphragms, I guess. We'll count all of them.
Yeah, if you were on a multi-day elk hunt and all you had to really rely on were, for me, like trying to make some mouth calls and maybe raking a tree, that would be a frustrating trip.
Yep. Let's see. I'll scroll to the top here.
Jacob Reagan, what knives do you carry to help skin and break down your elk? You need to find a knife that you're comfortable with. For me, I kind of have I don't think they're duplicates. They're all slightly different. And some definitely have some sentimental value to them. But, I'm looking for something that's not super heavy, something that I can hone or sharpen easily.
Yep.
And I just want to bring one outside of my multi-tool because that's like my food knife.
Right, because that's two. One, you right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted, like, the reason that we made this knife is because I only wanted to be able to have like one knife. I didn't want to have to carry two knives, one for skinning, one for deboning. It's just like I just want one knife, and I don't want to have to sharpen it. Or if I do need to sharpen it, you can take a strop to it. So
yes,
so the metal in here on this knife is so you can just take a leather strop, and it's good.
That dude's
it's got a leather strop on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's nice. I like that.
Yeah, a little honing.
Yeah, so you can hone. A lot of people don't know that, but like a piece of leather, hard leather, like an old belt, you cut a chunk off an old belt. I mean, you can get the edge of a lot of blades really sharp just using that thing. But just the idea is, hopefully you're just taking one knife in and not multiple knives, and it'll do everything you need it to do.
And honestly, this Nick from Missoula, Montana, smallest piece of gear that makes the biggest impact that we kind of covered. For me, the beginning of the season, like I totally expect to forget little bits and pieces. But at the end of the season, after I've had a lot of days in the field, if I miss, like last year, this whole kit that I have with me, I had this in Hawaii this year. I had this in Texas this year. This just goes in my hunting kit regardless of where I am, regardless of time of year, I forgot this whole thing, and I was an absolute mental mess the entire time. In fact, I actually burned a giant hole in my down sleeping bag by the end of that trip, because I could not fathom the fact that I didn't have this.
Weighed on you mentally?
Yes.
Jared Saunders, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right there. What's the minimum size pack for a 3 to 5 day hunt? Boy, that is that's a loaded question, because that depends on all the stuff you carry, right? So, there are probably people out there who could carry just like a 1500, 1800 CI pack. And I mean, that's what the ultralight backpackers are carrying, right? And just go. But for me, I'll just say for me, I'm looking at like 3,000 cubic inches is probably the minimum size that I'll go to. Like 3,000 to 4,000 cubic inches is kind of my early season pack size. And I should mention that, just so folks know, this is like, you got to show your backpack, dude.
Yes.
So people know this is the Seek Outside pack. So it's super light. This is about, with all the pockets and storage, you're about 4,000 cubic inch pack. So this thing with all its, it's a waterproof bag, super light system. Love this pack. Really works pretty well.
This pack is by Stone Glacier. Sorry to Pete and Jeff and the boys, but I do not recall the name of it, specifically the model name. But this is honestly on the way small side of packs for me. I'm 6,000 cubic inches or larger. That is, you pack your insecurities thing perfectly. Like, if I have a small pack on, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So I'm 5,500 cubic inches and up, and I believe on the Seek pack as well, you do have the option. You can go to a smaller volume bag if you commit to. There's a load shelf in here where you can actually put the meat in between the bag and the frame, and that meat will sit on that load shelf, and then really you can have all your camp in here, and it's not going to get all meaty.
Yep. And Jared, that was a good question. We're going to give you a hat or a shirt. So we'll get in touch with you. Thanks for the awesome question. And we'll get you some swag for asking that question. Because that's one I think a lot of people struggle with, is how big of a backpack to use. So,
first aid wise, what do you carry? Ethan Shoup from Alpine, Texas. Really big extended trips with like British Columbia grizzly bears. I'm definitely packing. I'd say the biggest addition is Quick Clot, which is this gnarly powder that was made primarily for combat, and I packed that with me. I've never had to use it. Have no idea what it looks like when it is used. I'm sure there's some YouTube videos you can reference, but that is an addition to my pack. There's a couple other pieces in there that have dual purpose. I have a needle for stitching up, making sutures, and I bring a fresh pack of dental floss. And I've totally goes against the whole bacteria side of things, but I use that needle to stitch up, and the dental floss stitch up all sorts of things. Yeah, that go sideways. I
had a
ibuprofen.
Yep.
Antifungal cream, and like Brad, I have some pills that are a little bit tougher in case, you have like a severely sprained ankle, but your only options to get out type of situation. So.
Yep, I'm the same way, man. I keep a couple pills in case things go real south. Aleve, just basic stuff, and just kind of hope for the best.
Yes.
If I cut my, the most common injuries, right, that I'm going to really get in trouble with, cut the knife or something sharp, right? You just hope if you break a leg or something, I'm not going to be able to fix that. I'm either going to be getting on this bad boy or crawling out. So I don't really plan for those type of events. So
this is a really good one. Nick from BC, Canada. Nick, we're going to give you a hat also. I like the question. What are some pieces of gear to skip and get later for a brand new hunt?
Ooh, that's a good one.
So,
yeah,
priority spending down to a frivolity.
I've got a strong opinion on that.
Yeah.
I'd say I put my money in boots and a backpack. Those are the two places I'd put it, because your feet you're gonna be miserable if your feet are miserable, and your backpack, if you have depends on how far you're hiking. If you're carrying weight in a crummy backpack, you're gonna know real fast how miserable that's gonna be. And I've been in that situation, and it sucks.
Yes. Yeah, your boots and your bag can definitely actually cripple you, and you're not gonna have a fun time. It's something that would be more hunting specific that you may not already have. Optics. I really do.
Yeah.
Get a good pair of binoculars. I would, just like how I started hunting, I had more fly fishing gear and skiing gear than I had specific hunting gear. And it took me a long time to, figure out what worked in that skiing, fishing side of things. All hunting specific stuff was really just cotton at that point. And as new things came on the market, I started, slowly getting some of that more hunting specific technical clothing. I should say technical clothing at that point. It was just more of a 70s polyester leisure suit, really. But that's hunting world's a little behind on some of that stuff. So
it's just money, right? So it's if you got all the money, I always tell people, if you got lots of money, hunting can be really comfortable.
Yes.
But yeah, it's all clothing, technical clothing. A few pieces are really nice. Going to make the difference between comfort and suffering.
Yes. But I did a whole stint on the Alaska Peninsula for brown bear with a Z-Rest closed cell foam pad.
Yep.
I don't even own one anymore, but it certainly wouldn't keep me. You can't use this stuff as an excuse to not go. I'm certainly in enough hunting camps to where people are like, well, I don't own that stuff. I said, well, yeah, but you're not going up on the mountain in variable conditions. You can still take all your cotton stuff, but when that big storm comes in, you're going to be in your tent until that storm's gone. Whereas when it's variable conditions, if you have the right gear, you can go out and still be safe doing it. So it's a big answer.
It is. So A. Walker asks, is there one thing in your pack on every hunt that you take as a lucky charm of sorts? We're getting into religious beliefs now.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah. So
find God up on that mountain.
Yeah, you can sometimes. Yeah. I would say I have a photo of my daughter that I take around now. It's a little cliche. You're getting to know me now, okay? This is very personal. I feel a little exposed right now.
You should.
I take a picture of my daughter with me. So now you know, okay?
That's nice. I take a picture of your daughter as well. No, that's not true. I get attached to camp cups. You can have a good camp cup for a long time, or an algae, something where it's been with you through thick or thin type of situation. Paul Lewis at FHF Gear with his bino harness, I really like him. He was like, yeah, you've been wearing the same one forever. So I got you a new one. And a buddy of mine, I was actually fishing around him and Han over whether or not to get one. I actually gave him the new one because we've just been through too many games together to just get rid of.
You have history together, as they say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Got any more questions? How not to overpack? That's a good one.
How do you
Mike?
not overpack?
Mike from Santa Barbara. That's a good question, Mike. Mike, you'll get, I like that one because that's a tough one. We'll give you a shirt, Mike. Go for it. I want to hear your.
It's just an experience thing. It's really hard to starve to death out there. Food, I think, is a major overpacking deal, as is clothing. At this point, I go as minimal as, and that's why I like our stuff so much, is it's so versatile. It's got a giant temperature range. I can whittle down my kit to very, very little. And if I'm ever in a situation where I just absolutely do not have anything, I always have my sleeping bag, and that combined with my chunk of Tyvek or shelter and my sleeping pad, you can get through some seriously inclement weather. Just unfortunately it takes a little days in the field, and it takes some experience to whittle that kit down. The other thing that I am always impressed with is you will acclimate to the conditions that you're in a serious way. So oftentimes I'll have a cold first night on the mountain and will never be cold again for the duration of the trip. But it just kind of takes 12 to 24 hours for me to acclimatize, toughen up, whatever you want to call it.
Your upper lip never gets cold, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I have some just real quick advice on that. One is like keep a list of everything you pack on every trip, and then pay attention. Keep a notebook like Ryan keeps, and like note the things that you don't ever use, whether that's clothing or gear. Like say like I had that in my pack, I used it for like 2 seconds or didn't use it, and then ditch it. And be brutally honest about what you really need versus what you're just carrying around for some theoretical situation.
Some guy at a live event told you to.
That's right.
It's all personal.
Yes, it's all personal. And then I always think you're going to fill whatever pack you have. So if you buy a giant pack, you're going to fill it more than likely. So if you don't want to take a bunch of stuff, like buy a smaller backpack or a medium-sized backpack. So I think we're supposed to wrap it up and announce the winners of the gift cards. You want to do the honors?
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys very much for sticking with us. It's a huge topic. I'm kind of feeling like maybe we bit off like slightly more than we could chew because there's so much, and Brad and I could tell stories about everything. So we'll try to get back and answer a bunch of questions, and we'll make sure that Brad answers a bunch of questions. Argali is a great resource for this stuff too. So thank you guys very much. And our first Lite gift card goes to Joe Hudak. I hope I'm saying your last name right.
And our, this is misspelled on the screen. I don't know if people can see this or not, but the Argali gift card goes to Zach Conley. Zach, congratulations. You just won yourself a gift card to our store. So appreciate you guys pre-registering and asking questions, and thanks for bearing with us, and hopefully there was one nugget of useful information somewhere in this for people.
Yes, it all comes out of days in the field, so don't let a lack of gear not get you outside.
True.
You're going to learn way more if you can just get your butt outside. Don't obsess about the stuff until you identify some real needs, and then you can kind of get into the nitty-gritty on that. We're going to try to do a live event every 2 weeks. We have a ton of good topics. We have a ton of cool folks stopping by the office, and we really want to be responsive to you guys. So write into info@firstlite.com. Leave us comments, leave us questions on our social channels, and let us know what you're interested in, what you want to see, and if and how we can be of service to you guys. And thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.